Hello guys, and welcome back once again to the Asian channel. And today we are going to talk about, will Ukraine run out of bombs to fight Russia soon? On the opposite side, many Western media has heavily reported last month that Russia seems to be running low on precision-guided bombs. There might be some truth to it, because if Russia is not rationing supply, then they wouldn't have to rely on Iranian suicide drones like the Shahed 136 and solely use the more efficient precision-guided missiles. On contrary to belief that Western sanction to Russia was to blame in all of this, apparently it's not. It's a very common thing in a full-scale war. Realistically, both sides would eventually face this similar problem, because peacetime weapon production capacity would be very much behind, and it couldn't keep up on the total number of weapons being used in the battlefield every day. It might take years to ramp up production to produce the desired amount needed on a full-scale war. For example, it took 4 to 5 years for the US to reach full production capacity to support its war operation during World War II. Though early production has increased, but it took years to get the desired output. Because they needed to convert private factories to increase weapon production capacity, and this included the training of current workers with new methods than what they were previously doing, the factory equipment would have to be changed as well. In an event of a war, this mandate is referred to in the US as the Defense Production Act. It requires businesses to accept and prioritize contracts for materials deemed necessary for national defense, regardless of a loss incurred on business. Almost every country has this similar law in their constitution, so it may take some time for Russia to produce the necessary capacity needed. So for now, they're trying all means to support war operation, including purchasing from Iran and even buying bombs from North Korea. As I mentioned earlier, Ukraine could also face this problem. For now, most of Ukraine's stockpiles to fight the war is mostly aid from the US and European countries. Because Russia has disseminated Ukraine's factories, if not for Western support, this war would have been over many months ago. But as the war drags on, Pentagon officials are now very reluctant to send more weapons to Ukraine coming out from their own inventories. They themselves are almost below the minimum threshold that the army needs to support its own war operation in case America gets into a war. You can also say that Russia pushed the American stockpile to run low. The latest US military aid package is not coming from US stockpiles inventory anymore, but fresh from factories once they're produced, so they might take some time to arrive in Ukraine. For example, the US has sent almost 1,155mm artillery rounds to Ukraine since August, and the US is believed to only have 4 to 5 million in stockpile. Ukraine spent 6,000 rounds per day at the height of the conflict. Russia pretty much used more than that every day as well. At this rate, Ukraine would need 4 to 5 million rounds until 2023. While the US yearly production average can only produce 80,000 rounds. They plan to increase that to almost 200,000, but it would take time to do so. Even then, that's far below than what Ukraine needs. Also, the Javelin's yearly production is only around 2,000, yet Ukraine spent 300 rounds in the first week of combat alone, so they need 18,000 rounds from the US per year to keep this up. The solution for this could be similar to what Russia is doing. The US could try to convince some of its allies to dip into their reserve and send them in Ukraine to support the war operation. But now Ukraine is also facing a different political problem in the US. The Republicans just won majority of the House in the midterm elections, so now they could block or support any Democrat legislation for Ukraine. In this past year, for many instances, minority Republicans like Kevin McCarthy has expressed unwillingness to support Ukraine and tried to block legislation for any aid package to support them. They expressed that with high inflation and growing national debt, he thinks many Americans sitting on recession are not willing to write a blank check to Ukraine. This year alone, 57 House Republicans voted no on a nearly $40 billion aid package for Ukraine. Both measures ultimately passed the chamber due to Democrats controlling the House then. But now is that about to change? We'll see once Congress resumes in January 2023. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you want more topics like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you soon.